North Carolina beat Miami 41-31. A lot of that was garbage time points. Don't be fooled. It wasn't as close as the score indicates. North Carolina's really good. I don't know what else to tell you. This is a legitimate championship contender. What, for the ACC? No. They're in the big conversation right now. As crazy as that is to say, they're in the big conversation. Now, here's what happened. Miami was up at halftime. But that is only part of the book, kids. You need to flip. Read the next few chapters. Those chapters have North Carolina going 24-0 to start the second half. You know, there was a lot of Drake May hype coming into this game. Rightfully so. Premier quarterback. Big-time talent. That is not even what I took away. I was at a little place called Cactus in downtown Seattle last night. Great little Mexican place. Should have been more crowded than it was, but I wasn't complaining. So there I am at Cactus, and I'm watching two games at once because I did have the bartender put one TV on UTSA UAB for reasons we'll get into later. But we also had North Carolina Miami on. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, at least Miami can lean on their run defense, right? It's number 2 in the country. And then North Carolina rips a run off, and then another run, and then another run. And lo and behold, by the time the dust clears, North Carolina's hung 235 on the ground. What happened? North Carolina happened. They're really good. You can either choose to say, oh, man, we just had a down game. We shot ourselves in the foot. They shot you in the foot and the knee and the thigh and the chest. They ran over you. North Carolina owned the line of scrimmage. Just didn't see it coming. I didn't see myself saying that sentence this year, frankly. And also, defensively right now, they've gotten off the deck. They don't have to be elite. Like the rule, if you got the offensive talent and firepower they've got is you just need to be opportunistic and good enough defensively. They're 42nd in points per game allowed. They're 29th in rush yards per game allowed. That's good enough. That's good enough. Situational football plus pretty good defensive statistics, that's good enough. Miami needed a mistake-free game here to rebound from the catastrophe against Georgia Tech. They did not have that. They were -4 turnovers. I don't know what to say. I think there is a good team somewhere here. Not in the future. I think the 2023 version of Miami, somewhere, if we can sift through all this, there is a good team. There's a good performance to be had. Maybe it'll come Saturday versus Clemson, but they needed it to come last night. And they didn't get it, and you can't be making mistakes against Georgia Tech or North Carolina. They may just beat you anyway, but especially when they're taking the ball away from you, they're going to beat you. And that is the problem with losing to Georgia Tech. You dropped this game last night, it's your first conference loss. You still got everything to play for. No, not your second conference loss. You're not going to play for the ACC championship now. You got to redefine your goals because you're not going to be able to be in the mix for that. I think they're still a year away in several areas of this team. I'm not going to, continue to beat a dead horse, but obviously this happens. I leaned Miami to win. For the record, the model was not higher on any team last week than it was on North Carolina. Information I kept from you on the show. The model loved North Carolina. Loved it. And I ignored it. And the model won this one. The model wins the battles against me. I normally win the war against the model because if it continues to beat me, I'll just shut it down. I either win contests or I quit them because they're unfair. That's one of the rules on the show. Another rule is I've never had a wrong prediction. I've either been right or kids, coaches, or officials have screwed it up. And I maintain that with a straight face. I maintain that. So I think there's a good team here. But that's potential and maybe in the future. North Carolina's good right now. And mind you, I haven't spoken about a certain individual on the North Carolina Tar Heels football team until right now. I wanted to save this for the end. You remember before the season started, there was this name I got pretty worked up about. I don't have any plans to apologize for it either. Tez Walker, remember that name? Yeah? NCAA says, you cannot play football this year. And everyone says, why? And they say, well, you can't get a waiver. He's transferred twice. Yeah, guys, but he didn't play but once because there was COVID that shut down the year where he was up here, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, you remember all that. And then they tell him you can't play. And then randomly, Last week, they come out and say, oh, wait, never mind, he can. And then they try and feed you some garbage about how he misfiled paperwork or didn't include proper information. Clown show. Anyway, last night, can you imagine NCAA officials watching Tez Walker, 6 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns? I picture strong Warden Norton energy from Shawshank. These are not people who are ever out for the best interest of student athletes to begin with. In fact, they invented the term student athlete. So henceforth, we will just refer to people like Tez Walker as ballers, because that's what he was last night. Anybody at NCAA headquarters who doesn't understand what that means, we'll send you a helpful dictionary later. But Tez Walker goes off last night, and I know I was in Seattle. I would have loved to have been in Indianapolis. Most of those folks probably went to bed before 8:30, before this game was over, but I would have loved, as they sip their warm milk, to toast with them and say, look at our guy here. Look at our guy. And they're over there with sullen faces. NCAA officials are the only people in the United States that have no smile wrinkles, no matter how old they get. But I sure did last night. I love watching this. So good for North Carolina. They are rolling right now. Really dangerous team. And they have the following. This is what stands between them and potentially going to the playoff. They have Virginia at Georgia Tech, Campbell, they're playing the Camels. They have Duke at home. Then they go to Clemson and to NC State. And then it would potentially be the ACC championship game. You see all of a sudden how real it becomes? It could happen. Colin, take another shot for a second. It's time to do it for the first time this year. JP, Angels in the outfield, it could happen. We are flapping for the Tar Heels. This is for you, Katie. It could happen.